Today you will learn about the two calendars we have on our website. We have a calendar of events, which contains the dates, times, and registration forms where applicable for programs the library is sponsoring. This would include story times, kids, teens, and adult programming, and also any town-sponsored events that the library would participate in, such as Governor's Days. The second calendar you have to access through the website is for reservations in our meeting rooms. When we hold a library-sponsored event in the meeting room, that event will show up on both of these calendars. The meeting room's reservations calendar will also include any outside reservations, such as tutors, study groups, or Girl Scout meetings that someone from the public has reserved a meeting room for in advance. By the end of this video, you should be able to register patrons for programs, or show patrons how to register themselves for programs, check to see if a program's registration list is full, check meeting room availability, and either request a meeting room reservation for a patron or instruct them how to request it themselves. And finally, identify which online calendar holds what information and how the two calendars overlap to interact with each other. Starting with the calendar of events, you will use this calendar to view all library-sponsored events and activities, including dates, times, program descriptions, and a link for registration if the event requires registration. We will also post on the calendar any pre-approved library closings, such as holidays, as an all-day event so people can see at a glance whether or not, for example, there is story time on Christmas Day. Okay, so from our home page here, you have two options to get to the calendar of events. You can click on Calendar through the menu at the top of the page, or you can click on View All of Our Events at the bottom of the Upcoming Events section on the right side. So let's click on Calendar and take a closer look at the calendar of events. The agenda view is the default view that pops up when you go to the calendar page. There are 10 events per page with a full description, link to register, where applicable, and time and date. Using the tab in the middle of the screen, you can quickly change the view to day, month, or week view as well. I personally much prefer the month view, as it will give me a time, date, and name for a program for the entire month in one quick glance. If you hover over any event, it will give you the first few words of the description, and then if you click on the event, you'll get an extended view and a link to the registration. There we go, there's the full description. We'll click on Register here. Now when you or a patron registers for a program by clicking on the available link, it's going to send you to an outside website, and that's eventkeeper.com. This is because we use EventKeeper to manage our program registrations. This is where the main overlap is going to be between the meeting room reservations calendar and our calendar of events. We also use EventKeeper to manage our meeting room reservations, which we'll take a look at in a minute here. So after you've filled out the registration form, it'll give you a confirmation screen. Unfortunately, you cannot tell from this screen if there is space available before registering, only after. But there is another way to do it, and we're going to see that in just a minute. So EventKeeper is the website that's going to manage all of our reservations for our meeting rooms. It keeps us organized so we know who is supposed to use the meeting rooms when and for how long. Remember, any member of the public can use the meeting rooms so long as it's available. Because our programs take place in our meeting rooms, we have to have a way to block off the times we need for the rooms for our programs, as well as for setup and cleanup time. This is the second way in which these two calendars overlap, and we'll see some examples in a minute. We have chosen to take advantage of EventKeeper to also manage patrons who want to sign up for the programs. We sometimes ask for people to sign up for programs because we need to know how many supplies to purchase, or to make sure something that could be super popular doesn't put us over capacity. There is an easy way to check to see if there's still room available for a program, which I'm going to show you here in a minute. But first, to access the meeting room reservation calendar, click Resources on the website menu and go down to Meeting Room. On this page, you have a link to check room availability, a link to read through our meeting room policy, and a form to request a reservation. The requests are processed Monday through Friday during regular business hours. If you're helping a patron fill out a form, especially if they call, let them know they can do it themselves directly from our website. By clicking on Meeting Room Availability, a new tab opens up, which takes us over to the EventKeeper website. A list of reservations comes up, including the reservation times. For example, if I were to get a phone call from a student who wants to reserve the conference room for a study session for a big test on Wednesday, I can scroll down to Wednesday and see if our current reservations for both rooms. I can then relay that information to the student, and they can decide if the room availability works for them. At that point, I'd flip back over to the request for a reservation form on our website and help them fill it out. Now, a day will only show up on the list if there are reservations that day. So if someone wanted to reserve a room on Sunday the 22nd, I can see on the room form that we have no other bookings in either room, simply because it's not on the list. This is also the page you can come to see immediately if there is still availability in a program. Here we can see that there are 22 spaces available for Glow After Dark. If a patron is standing in front of you and says, "Is there still space to register for Glow After Dark?" you can click on Check Meeting Room Availability, scroll down to the event, and say, "Why, yes, indeed there are 22 spots still available for this program." You can then register the patron directly from that Register button without having to go back to the other calendar of events on our website. Simply click on Register and fill out the same form. Now back at the top, you can find the option to view reservations a month at a time by clicking Monthly Calendar View at the top of the page. If you notice, there are 2 bookings for the same event in some cases. Take a look at January 8th. Here we have a 1 p.m. Library - Glass Fusion reservation and a 2 p.m. Glass Fusion booking. Any reservation that starts with that Library - is going to be the complete time the library needs for the event, including setup and cleanup. If there is a second one that does not begin with Library - we have created that specifically to create a registration form for the event, including the actual start time. Here you can take a look at the 2 different calendars that we have and how they interact with each other. Again, the main overlap is going to be with that registration form on Event Keeper, and how our library events taking place in the meeting room are also already going to be booked in that meeting room reservations calendar as well. Last, I'd like to go over the highlights of our meeting room policy. You should all know where to find a copy of our full meeting room policy on the website now, but here are the main things to know. The large room seats up to 39 people, can be reserved up to 6 months in advance, and is limited to 2 reservations per month per group. The conference room seats up to 8 people, can be reserved up to 30 days in advance, and is limited to 2 reservations per week per group or person. For both rooms, all meetings must be open to the public. No money can be exchanged hands, so no items for sale, no fundraising, and no private parties. That'd be birthday parties, retirement parties, or anything else. Finally, reservations are canceled if a group is more than 15 minutes late or if the room is vacated for 15 minutes during their reserved time. Alright, it's self-check time. Can you answer these questions?